What does a next-generation German submarine have to do with um, the lithium battery sitting inside your electric car?
Usually absolutely nothing.
Right, usually nothing. But if you look at Chapter 20 of our briefing materials today, you'll see that in January 2026, 19 pieces of paper signed between Germany and India connected them perfectly.
Yeah, and in the process, they essentially started rewriting the entire global supply chain.
So that's our mission for this deep dive into Chapter 20. We're unpacking the fallout of German Chancellor Friedrich Merz's visit to India in January 2026.
It really is a fascinating pivot point, honestly, because, when Merz visited, it wasn't just like a routine diplomatic photo op.
Far from it.
Right. The result of that visit, those 19 memorandums of understanding, or MOUs, it represents a massive structural shift. We're watching the India-Germany relationship transform from just a standard trade partnership into, well, the absolute cornerstone of Indo-Pacific security.
And global climate strategy, too. I've been thinking about the sheer scale of this. And the best way to visualize it for you listening isn't as a diplomatic bridge, but as two massive interlocking gears.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah, so you have Germany acting as the anchor gear in Europe and India as the anchor gear in the Indo-Pacific.
Hmm.
When one turns, it fundamentally drives the other.
Exactly.
And the hardest, heaviest tooth on that gear is obviously military hardware. So let's just jump straight into defense security.
Good place to start. The Joint Declaration to Strengthen Defense Industrial Cooperation is it's really the anchor point of this entire alignment.
Right.
The strategic shift here is moving India away from simply being a buyer, a net importer of weapons who just writes a check for foreign tech.
Which has been their traditional model.
Exactly. The new focus is entirely on the co-development and co-production of military hardware. And the most critical linkage of this co-production framework is with future big-ticket deals.
Specifically the advanced submarine programs.
Yeah, the submarines are the crown jewel there.
But let's look at the reality on the ground for a second, because historically, India has relied incredibly heavily on partners like Russia for its defense imports.
Right, highly dependent.
And recently, especially with the supply chain disruptions we saw from the Ukraine war, we've seen how dangerous that single-source dependency can be.
Oh, absolutely.
So is this German submarine deal just India swapping one dependency for another, or is this like the ultimate signal of them truly diversifying?
It's definitely the latter, and it ties directly into India's domestic strategy of Atmanirbhar Bharat, the push for a truly self-reliant India.
Right.
Because you have to understand how defense co-production actually works in practice. Germany isn't just going to build submarines in Kiel and ship them over to Mumbai.
They're not just handing over the finished product.
No, not at all. They are bringing advanced German engineering, like air-independent propulsion systems.
Which allows submarines to stay submerged far longer. Yeah. Right.
Exactly. It's crucial stealth tech. And they're integrating that technology directly into India's domestic defense manufacturing ecosystem.
Ah, so they're teaching them how to build the engine, not just selling them the car.
That's a great way to put it. You're transitioning India from a vulnerable importer to a globally competitive co-producer.
So if we're tracing the cause and effect here, the root cause is the vulnerability of a concentrated defense supply chain.
Yeah.
The policy measure is the co-production, MOU2. And the domestic impact is a supercharged, modernized defense industry in India.
Perfectly summarized.
But there's a massive physical bottleneck here. You can't build a next-generation submarine without highly advanced electronics.
No, you definitely can't.
Which logically forces us to look at the next gear in this machine. Technology and geoeconomics.
Yeah.
Because those January 2026 agreements also launched the India-Germany Semiconductor Partnership.
Yes, they did. And the pillars of that semiconductor partnership are incredibly targeted. They're focusing on artificial intelligence, telecom, digital governance, and Industry 4.0.
Just to ground that for a second, when we say Industry 4.0, we're talking about the complete automation of traditional manufacturing, right?
Yeah, using smart tech, AI, the Internet of Things.
Like factories that essentially talk to themselves.
Precisely. It is the digitization of manufacturing. But here's the stark reality, and this is where it gets tricky.
Okay.
You cannot manufacture semiconductors, and you certainly cannot run an Industry 4.0 factory or build advanced defense inputs without the raw materials.
Right, the physical stuff.
Exactly. And that is exactly why Chancellor Merz's visit also produced a critical minerals partnership.
And this is where it gets incredibly strategic, because this partnership specifically zeroes in on lithium and rare earths.
Yes, the essentials for modern tech.
But what really stands out to me is that they aren't just talking about buying these minerals. The MOU covers the exploration, the processing, and the recycling of them.
That full life cycle is the key.
Right. Because we hear the term friendshoring a lot. Moving supply chains to friendly nations. But this isn't just friendshoring. This is like friend mining and friend manufacturing.
Friend mining, I like that.
Yeah, they're actively trying to build an entirely alternate, non-China-centric supply chain universe.
Friend mining is actually the perfect way to phrase it because it highlights the physical reality of the China plus one strategy.
Which is all about companies diversifying out of China.
Right, to avoid over-reliance. Because the root cause driving this entire mineral and tech sector alignment is high-tech dependence on China.
And it's not just the mining, is it?
No, that's the big misconception. China doesn't just mine rare earths. They have historically maintained a complete chokehold on the processing of those minerals.
Which creates a massive strategic vulnerability for both Europe and India.
Huge vulnerability.
So if a geopolitical crisis happens or borders close, your entire electric vehicle industry or your defense manufacturing base could literally grind to a halt because you just can't get refined lithium.
Exactly. To mitigate that vulnerability, India and Germany initiated this critical minerals MU alongside the semiconductor partnership.
So they work together.
Yeah, it's a full life cycle approach. By covering exploration, processing, and recycling, they are creating a closed-loop system.
It's brilliantly connected when you step back.
Yeah.
You secure the rare earths to build the semiconductors. You need those semiconductors to run the AI and Industry 4.0 systems.
Right.
And ultimately, those systems go straight into the co-produced submarines and defense tech. It's a continuous chain.
And that is the geopolitical effect they're aiming for. They want resilient, diversified supply chains that cannot just be turned off by a single adversarial government.
I love how all of this is fitting together.
Yeah.
But I actually have to play devil's advocate here on the next piece of the puzzle.
Go for it.
Because mining rare earths, refining them, and powering AI data centers that require staggering amounts of power.
Oh, massive amounts.
Which brings us to the energy security and climate leadership agreements, specifically green hydrogen, green ammonia, and renewable energy.
Right, the clean energy transition is a massive pillar of these 19 MOUs.
But here is my pushback. Germany is recognized historically as a global leader in green tech, sure.
Yeah.
But right now, Germany is really struggling with its own domestic energy grid. I mean, they've shut down nuclear power, they're facing massive energy costs, and there are very real fears of deindustrialization in Europe right now.
That's very true.
So, are they genuinely in a position to be the green tech savior for a market as incredibly massive as India, or is this just like aspirational stuff on paper?
That is a very grounded skepticism, but it actually highlights exactly why Germany needs this partnership just as much as India does.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You were right about Germany's domestic energy constraints, but what Germany still possesses is world-class intellectual property.
Right, the IP.
The IP, the research and development capabilities, and advanced engineering in green hydrogen and battery tech. What they lack is a massive low-cost environment to actually scale that technology and test it.
Ah, I see. So India isn't just buying German solar panels. India is the deployment market.
Exactly. India offers an unprecedented continent-sized scale.
Makes sense.
If a German green tech firm wants to prove their next-generation green ammonia tech can be deployed at scale and do it profitably, they do it in India.
Which accelerates India's pathway to net zero emissions.
Right. But it also allows German companies to commercialize and scale their technology in a way they simply cannot do within their current European energy constraints.
That makes a lot of sense. The synergy is IP from Germany and scale and execution from India.
Exactly.
But wait, how does this green energy connect back to the supply chain resilience we were just talking about? Because it feels like we sort of jumped from microchips to windmills.
They are deeply intertwined, actually, and the physical link there is battery storage.
Oh, of course.
The clean energy MOUs heavily emphasize battery storage for the national grid. And think about what a grid-scale battery is actually made of.
The lithium.
Yes. It relies entirely on the lithium and rare earths that are being explored, processed, and recycled under that critical minerals partnership.
So you physically cannot achieve the green energy transition without securing the critical minerals first.
Right, and you cannot secure those critical minerals without the overarching strategic alignment we're seeing here.
Wow. So we have a clear picture of the hardware side now.
Hmm.
We have defense co-production, we have the semiconductor and critical mineral supply chains, and we have the green energy transition.
Yep, the three big hardware pillars.
But ideas and agreements on paper don't build submarines or data centers. People do.
Exactly.
You need frictionless movement of engineers, capital, and blueprints. Which brings us to a really fascinating sort of administrative side of these deals.
Mm.
Trade, mobility, and India using Germany as its gateway to Europe.
The institutional and administrative dimensions of these agreements are what actually make the hardware possible.
Right, the execution side.
The texts outline a major push for a comprehensive India-EU free trade agreement. They also establish a dedicated CEO forum and high-level economic coordination mechanisms to, cut through the red tape.
And the money on the table is already massive. I mean, bilateral trade between the two already exceeds $50 billion and is actively growing.
It's huge. Germany is currently India's largest trading partner in the European Union.
They are literally the gateway integrating India into broader European supply chains.
Yes, exactly.
But looking at the malus, there are some deeply specific administrative details included. For example, visa-free airport transit for Indians in Germany.
Yeah, that caught a lot of people's attention.
Right, because we're talking about fundamentally reshaping global defense and green energy. So why is airport transit featured in a grand strategic document?
Because execution friction kills grand strategy.
Okay, unpack that.
Let's look at the reality of the human capital supply chain. Historically, if an Indian semiconductor engineer or a green hydrogen specialist needed to attend, like, a one-day critical workshop in Berlin,
Or even just transit through Frankfurt to get somewhere else.
right, to get to another European tech hub, they often faced massive administrative bottlenecks. Waiting months for a Schengen visa appointment just to transit can delay a multi-million-dollar co-production project.
Right. If you're co-developing AI for a submarine, your top engineers need to be able to get on a plane on a Tuesday without a 6-month bureaucratic nightmare.
Precisely. Ease of doing business and talent mobility are the lubricants for that $50 billion economic engine.
Without it, it just seizes up.
Yeah. Without people-to-people ties and a seamless exchange of a highly skilled workforce, the tech goals will fail during implementation. The visa-free transit is a policy measure explicitly designed to remove that friction.
And the MAUs also include major education initiatives, right? Like skill development in renewables, higher education partnerships, and actively encouraging German institutions to expand their campuses into India.
And again, follow the causal chain there for your mental notes. The skill development in renewable energy directly supports the green hydrogen MOs. You need trained technicians to run the plants.
Right.
The higher education partnerships feed the semiconductor and Industry 4.0 ecosystems. They're basically building the workforce of the 2030s that will actually execute the China Plus One strategy.
Okay, so let's zoom all the way out and look at the global chessboard.
Let's do it.
We've talked a lot about India's motivations. Accelerating modernization, achieving self-reliance, getting access to top-tier tech. But why does a European powerhouse like Germany, located thousands of miles away, care so deeply about India's domestic capabilities right now?
Whoa.
I mean, especially when you look at India's balancing act between BRICS and the Quad. This is really about the Indo-Pacific balancing act, isn't it?
Absolutely it is. The geopolitical motivation for Germany is crystal clear here. Germany has officially recognized that its economic future is tied to the Indo-Pacific, but it simply cannot rely solely on China anymore. They now view India as their most vital democratic partner in the region, and they share three specific overarching goals.
Which are?
Maintaining a rules-based international order, ensuring maritime security, which is crucial for European trade routes, by the way, and strategic balancing vis-a-vis China.
It essentially functions as a geopolitical insurance policy for both sides.
Exactly.
Where Germany diversifies its economic future and supply chains away from China, while India gets to accelerate its defense indigenization and green transition without compromising its strategic autonomy.
And if you look at how all these pieces move together, let's just do a quick revision of the whole chain, because it's a perfectly logical sequence.
Go for it.
The geopolitical reality, the need to balance power in the Indo-Pacific and secure maritime routes forces the two nations together.
Right.
That geopolitical alignment requires a new economic model, so they execute the China Plus One strategy, friend-mining critical minerals, and pushing for an EU free trade agreement.
Which creates a secure base.
Exactly. That secure economic base allows them to share highly sensitive security technology, leading to the co-production of advanced submarines.
And all of that trickles down to the domestic impact.
Yep, green energy jobs, next generation EV battery tech, and higher education for the workforce.
It is entirely interconnected. You pull the thread on a visa waiver, and it leads to an AI engineer who builds a semiconductor powered by friend-mined lithium, which goes into a submarine that secures a trade route.
That is the exact cause and effect reality of the modern global economy. It's why Chancellor Merce's visit was so defining.
We started by visualizing this as two massive gears locking together, Germany anchoring Europe, India anchoring the Indo-Pacific.
Right.
And right now, as we've discussed, this partnership is incredibly complementary. Germany has the legacy IP, the engineering heritage, and the capital.
And India has the massive market scale, the raw deployment capacity, and that demographic dividend of a young, hungry workforce.
But as we wrap up this deep dive into Chapter 20, there is a slightly provocative future implication I want you listening to think about.
Oh, it's the ultimate paradox of a successful partnership.
Exactly. What happens when it actually works?
Right.
As these technology transfers succeed, and as India genuinely achieves its Atmanirbhar goals through co-production and skill development, a completely new dynamic is going to emerge.
It has to.
Think about it. What happens when India transitions from being a vast deployment market for German green tech and instead becomes a direct global competitor in exporting green hydrogen and military hardware?
That is the true test of any strategic alignment. It's relatively easy to be complementary partners when one has the tech and the other has the market.
Sure.
The real geopolitical challenge will be managing the transition from complementary partners to friendly but fierce competitors on the global stage.
And that is something the global markets will be watching very, very closely over the next decade. Keep that friction in mind as you think about the invisible supply chains connecting your EV battery to the submarines patrolling the Indo-Pacific. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll catch you next time.